Hi everyone, my name's Grace Bernstein, and today we're going to be talking about gambling addiction and how it affects the brain. Also known as compulsive gambling or pathological gambling, it is a behavioral disorder characterized by the inability to control or resist the urge to gamble despite the negative consequences. The impact of gambling addictions on the brain is complex and it involves many neural mechanisms. One key aspect is the involvement of the brain's reward system. Gambling activates the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. The repetitive nature of gambling, especially in the games of chance, can lead to the development of tolerance, where individuals require increasing levels of stimulation to experience the same pleasure. This neurobiological response mirrors the process observed in substance addiction, is the role of the prefrontal Another significant factor is the role of the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision making and impulse control. In individuals with gambling addiction, this region may exhibit abnormalities affecting their ability to weigh the long term consequences of their actions. The impulsivity associated with gambling addiction can be linked to disruption in these cognitive functions. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize, is also very important. The prolonged and excessive gambling can lead to structural changes within the brain, impacting areas related to reward processing, decision making, and even self control. These alterations may contribute to the persistence of addictive behaviors and the difficulty in breaking the cycle of compulsive gambling. Genetics can also play a role as certain individuals may be predisposed to addictive behaviors. Family history and genetic factors can influence susceptibility to gambling addiction, highlighting the interplay between biological and environmental elements. Understanding the neurobiological basis of gambling addiction is crucial for the development of effective treatment strategies. Cognitive behavioral therapy, medicine, and support groups are among the approaches used to address this disorder. By targeting the brain's mechanisms involved in addiction, interventions aim to help individuals regain control over their impulses and the harmful consequences of compulsive gambling. Recognizing gambling addictions as a public health concern underscores the importance of the preventative measures and support systems to reduce the prevalence and impact of this behavioral disorder. Functional brain images have also showed that neural patterns associated with gambling addictions are very prevalent. These studies often find hyperactivity in the rewards circuit system, particularly in the mesolimbic dopamine system, which reinforces pleasurable sensations linked to gambling. Over time, this may contribute to compulsive natures, and individuals can become driven and intensified cravings for reward experience associated with gambling. As you can see in this picture, you can see that there's a lot more activity at the top within their brain due to the excitement versus the bottom, where that is the control brain, where there is not as much activity and nor excitement when it comes to gambling. The concept of cue-induced craving is also relevant in gambling addictions with environmental cues, as the sight of casinos or the sound of slot machines can trigger intense cravings in an individual with a gambling addiction. These cues activate the brain's reward system, leading to an overwhelming desire to engage in gambling activities. The brain's response to these cues have further emphasized the role of associated learning in the development and perpetuation of addictive behaviors. So as you can see at the top on line A, those are the winning outcomes in the brain, and that's how much stimulus you get. And on row B, you can see that there's not as much stimulus when you get a near miss or a full miss outcome. Furthermore, studies have suggested that individuals with gambling addictions may experience disruptions in the brain's exhibitory control mechanisms. This impairs the self regulation and contributes to continue gambling despite the negative consequences, and they're struggling to suppress the urge to engage in this behavior. The imbalance of inhibitory control may involve changes in frontal cortices, influencing decision making and the ability to resist impulsive behaviors as well. It's important to note that the fact of gambling addiction on the brain is not static. The brain's neuroplasticity allows for both positive and negative adaptations. This means, with the appropriate interventions and treatments, individuals with gambling addictions can experience positive changes in their neural functions and behaviors. Treatment often involves a combination of therapy, counseling, and in some cases, medication to address the underlying issues and promote recovery. So, moving forward, we're also going to be discussing how gambling addiction in fantasy football leagues has also taken a toll on the brain. Gambling addictions related to fantasy football leagues has become a growing concern, particularly with the rise of online platforms and the widespread popularity of fantasy sports. While fantasy football is primarily a form of entertainment and competition among friends or enthusiasts, it shares a certain characteristic with traditional gambling activities that contribute to addictive behaviors. One key aspect is the element of chance and unpredictability inherited in the fantasy football outcomes. Participants often draft players and set lineups based on statistical projections, but the actual performance of the players during the games introduces an unpredictable factor. This uncertainty can lead to heightened excitement and emotional involvement, similar to the thrill associated with traditional gambling. The continuous and immersive nature of fantasy football, especially in the context of daily or weekly leagues, can also contribute to addictive tendencies. Constant engagement with players, their statistics, updates, and real time scoring that can create a sense of urgency and anticipation. Intensifying the overall experience, this heighten the engagement and may lead to an increased risk of developing addictive patterns, especially in individuals with pre exposed gambling related issues. Additionally, the accessibility of online platforms and mobile applications has made it easier for individuals to engage in fantasy football activities anytime and anywhere. The convenience at a constant availability of these platforms may contribute to compulsive behavior, as individuals find it challenging to disengage from the virtual sports. To address the potential for gambling addictions in fantasy football leagues, it's crucial to promote the responsibility in gaming practices and raise awareness about the risks associated with such an excessive engagement. Establishing clear guidelines for financial stakes, encouraging periodic breaks, and fostering open discussions about the potential impact of mental well beings are essential steps. Recognizing there's similarities between fantasy football and traditional gambling activities can perform preventative measurements and support structures for individuals who may be at risk of developing addictive behaviors in this context. The blurred lines between skill based gaming and the chance in fantasy football may impact individuals' perception on the activity. While skill plays a role in drafting and making decision making, the unpredictable nature of real life sports events introduces an element of chance. The combination can make it difficult for individuals to accurately assess their level of control over the outcomes, potentially contributing to more addictive behavior. As fantasy football leagues continue to gain popularity, it is essential to acknowledge the potential for gambling addiction and take proactive measures to help to risks. A combination of awareness and responsible gaming features and supportive interventions can contribute to a healthier and more balanced engagement with fantasy sports. Thank you.